What if you could literally redesign your life? That's a huge question, right? Well, today we're going to crack open Charles Duhigg's amazing book, The Power of Habit. We're not just going to talk about the science, we're going to give you the actual blueprint for how to change your own habits. Okay, let's kick things off with a number that, honestly, it might blow your mind. A huge study found that 40% of what you do every single day isn't a choice. It's a habit. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Almost half of your life is running on autopilot. So that brings up this really fascinating, almost sci-fi question. It's a medical mystery that actually helped us unlock the secrets of how habits work. Just imagine, what if you couldn't make new memories? What if everything that happened 5 minutes ago just vanished? All right, let me introduce you to a man named Eugene Pauly. Back in 1992, he got this nasty viral infection and it ravaged a part of his brain, the part responsible for new memories. So just like that, he was stuck, trapped in a never-ending present moment. I mean, try to wrap your head around this. Eugene couldn't even sketch a simple map of his own house. He'd meet his doctors every single day and have no idea who they were the next. His memory was a total blank slate. But, and this is the crazy part, he was still learning. New habits were forming deep in his brain without him even knowing it. And this all came to a head one morning when Eugene just wandered off. His wife was, understandably, terrified. How on earth could he find his way home? So she frantically rushes back to call for help, and there he is, just sitting on the couch, watching TV, totally calm. He had found his way home, block by block, purely on autopilot. He had zero memory of doing it. It was like his body remembered the path, even when his mind couldn't. So this is the big question, right? How is that even possible? How can you learn something new if you can't remember doing it? Well, the answer is incredible. It turns out there's a whole other system in our brain, a system that virus didn't touch. And you guessed it, it's the habit system. To really figure this out, scientists at MIT started looking inside the brains of rats running through mazes. And by watching their brain activity, they found it. A simple, powerful, neurological pattern that is behind every single habit you have. They called it the habit loop. And you can think of it as your brain's ultimate energy-saving mode. It's this simple 3-step process that lets us do all sorts of stuff, like brushing our teeth or backing out of the driveway, without having to think about it at all. It just saves so much mental energy. And it's super simple. It's just 3 steps. First, you have the cue. That's the trigger that tells your brain, hey, time to go into autopilot. Second is the routine. That's the actual behavior, whether it's physical or mental. And finally, you get the reward, that little bit of positive feedback that tells your brain, yep, that was good, let's remember this for next time. And you can literally see how this works in the brain. When the rats were first learning the maze, their brains were firing on all cylinders the whole time. But once the habit kicked in, whoa, look at that. The brain activity spikes for the cue, and then again for the reward. But in between, during the routine, it just tanks. It's like the brain just checks out to save power. It's on autopilot. Okay, so now we know how habits work. But what about the big one? How do you change a bad habit? Well, this leads us to what might be the most powerful idea in the whole book. It's called the golden rule. Now here's the thing. Bad habits, they don't just disappear. They're literally wired into our brains. That's why just trying to stop with willpower is so hard. So, the golden rule says, don't even try to fight the habit loop. Keep the cue, keep the reward, but swap out that one middle piece, the routine. Let's take nail biting, a classic one. A patient in the book had a simple loop. The cue was feeling tension in her fingers. The routine, biting her nails. The reward, a quick bit of physical stimulation. So the fix wasn't to just tell her, stop it. Instead, they kept the cue and reward and just changed the routine. Whenever she felt that tension, she was taught to clench her fists. Same trigger, same satisfying physical feedback, but a brand new, way healthier routine. It's genius, right? But okay, the golden rule is amazing, but it's not always the whole story. To build habits that really truly stick, especially when you're stressed or tired, you need a couple of extra secret ingredients. And the first ingredient comes from a pretty surprising place, the story of Febreze. I mean, it was this incredible invention that could make any bad smell just disappear. But when it launched, it completely bombed. No one bought it. And why? Well, it turns out people with stinky houses are so used to the smell, they don't notice it. There was no cue to use the product. The big light bulb moment for the company was realizing people don't just want a problem fixed, they want a reward. So they added a nice, fresh scent. Suddenly, Febreze wasn't about getting rid of bad smells, It was the satisfying, great-smelling final step to cleaning. That's the reward people started to crave.
So what Febreze unlocked is that first secret ingredient, craving. See, it's not just the reward itself that drives the habit, it's the anticipation of it. As soon as your brain sees the cue, it starts craving that reward. That's the engine that makes the whole loop go round. It's like when you walk through a mall and smell a Cinnabon, you start craving that sugary goodness way before you even get in line. That's the craving at work.
Okay, so we've got the habit loop, and we've got the craving that powers it. But there's still one more piece to the puzzle. Researchers found it when they were studying organizations like Alcoholics Anonymous. They wanted to know why some people could stick with it for years, even through tough times, while others would relapse. They found one key thing that made all the difference. And that final ingredient was belief. The simple, powerful belief that change is actually possible. Now, for a lot of people in AA, that belief is tied to a higher power. But what the researchers found was fascinating. It wasn't about any specific religion. It was the belief itself that mattered. And where does that belief come from? Almost always, it comes from a community. Being part of a group of people who all believe in change, that's what makes it stick. All right, let's bring this all home. We're going to put everything we've talked about into a simple, actionable framework that you can actually use. Because, understanding the science is cool, but applying it is where the magic really happens.
Okay, here it is, your 4-step plan. Step 1, just identify the routine. What's the one thing you want to change? Step 2, experiment with rewards. So when you get that 3 p.m. urge for a cookie, are you actually craving the cookie? Or are you craving a break from work? Or maybe just some social time? Play around and figure out what the real craving is. Step 3, find the cue. For a couple of days, just write down what's going on right when the urge hits. Where are you? What time is it? How are you feeling? You'll start to see a pattern. And finally, step 4, have a plan. Just make a simple statement. When I feel this cue, I will do this new routine. That's it.
The biggest takeaway from all of this is that you are in control. Habits can feel so automatic, so permanent, but they're not. They're just patterns, and any pattern can be changed. And once you really, truly understand that habits can be rebuilt, well then the only thing left to do is roll up your sleeves and get to work.